All right, welcome everyone, and thank you all for being with us tonight for our VIP Listen and Learn event. Tonight we have the privilege of listening to Leona Carter, who will be diving into targeting your audience as a speaker or author. So a little bit about Leona. She empowers emerging speakers and authors who want to captivate their audience through speaking and writing. She also equips couples to create long-lasting intimacy in marriage. Leona is a certified intimacy and relationship coach, 10X international multi-best-selling author, and business strategist. As the president and CEO of Carter Strategies and filmmaker, Leona is working on her first documentary and has been featured on CBS, Fox, ABC, and NBC, just to name a few. Leona's energetic personality and vibrancy sets her apart from the normalcy of entrepreneurship. She blazes a trail everywhere she goes through her passion for serving. So before we start, please take a note of a few things real quick. At the top of the chat, there are a few links for Leona as well as the Innovation Center. Our social media handle, website, and email is posted there. Also, there will be a link to the post-event survey that we would like for you to fill out at the conclusion of the presentation. Lastly, please remember to mute your mics, and if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. And also include your email address just in case we run out of time to respond. So without further ado, please welcome Leona Carter.
Hello, everyone. I am so glad you are here. So if you're ready to dive in, drop "I'm here." Let me see the chat. Let me see if you're here. Drop "I'm here" in the chat if you are ready. I am going to get my, okay, I see, let me see. Yes. Okay. I see. Okay. There it is. I see you ready. Awesome. I'm going to get ready to share my screen. Awesome. Actually, let me do that again because I got to turn that sound off before I share the screen. Awesome. People are ready. That's amazing. Okay. Let me unclick that. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I know you can hear me. So let me just go through this real quick, the PowerPoint, and then I'll drop it down. So I'm excited to be here. I am super passionate about all things speaking. I'm a relationship coach, but I love speaking and I'm passionate. So formally, I am Leona Carter. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you, I speak, I write, now what? How to target your audience as a speaker and author. And so we're going to dive in. I am a speaker, author, coach, all the things, right? And I'm passionate about speaking because when I wanted to speak and was sought out to speak, the person who I thought would be able to take me to my next level wanted to charge me at least $50,000 to get started. And I'm like, wait a minute. The way that my checking and savings is set up, I'm not ready for that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put something together, and I'll tell you the story about that. So I'm so excited to share with you today. So, some of the key words that will be that you'll hear, we're going to narrow into 3, but a couple of key words you might hear in the speaking industry is niche, avatar, audience, target, ideal client, solve problems, provider, specialist, and expert. But I just want to highlight 3. Doesn't mean they're the most important 3, but I just want to highlight 3 for you. So your niche, you can say niche that rhymes with rich, or you can say niche. Both ways are correct. Whatever's clever for you, you say that, okay? So I say niche because it rhymes with rich. So a niche is a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. Everybody needs a niche, and we'll dive into that more. The second word I want to highlight is avatar. Some of you may have heard of this. An avatar is an image representing a particular person as your ideal client. And then the third word is specialist. We know what a specialist is. Some of us see a specialist, right? A doctor, So a person who concentrates primarily on a particular subject and highly skilled. And then I've also left my information here as well, which is also in the chat. And I have a free gift for you, and you can grab that gift at ispeakiwrite.com. All right, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to be really sharing some strategies of why you need to narrow your niche and all the things. So first of all, I want to tell you that, I want to share 5 reasons why you need a niche. And before I kind of dive into that, a niche, as we share, is a specific, a special target, specialized area of the market. Many times speakers, they tell me they speak to women and they are so excited. They tell me I speak to women, and I say, no, you don't. Right? No, you don't. Why? Because it's too broad. I need you to narrow that, right? And some people say, oh, but I speak to men. That's great. But no, you don't. Right? Because if I have a 99-year-old male here and a 19-year-old male here, what you provide probably doesn't target both of these audience the same, right? Because you need to narrow. And so let me tell you why you need to narrow your niche. 5 reasons. Number 1, to simplify your marketing efforts. And I'm going to demonstrate to you about narrowing your niche, but to simplify your marketing efforts. When I started my business several years ago, I started with mothers. So I'm a mother of 6 children. And I'm proud, I have well-behaved children. I mean, I could take my children anywhere. I can take them to the library, to the hibachi restaurant, anywhere, because I put a lot of time, energy, and effort into well-behaved children, home training, right? And so here I am out in public with all these 6 children, and people are saying, oh my gosh, Leona, how do your children so well behaved? So I would get that question so often that my first book that I wrote was to mothers. I was like, well, so many people are asking me, let me write that book to mothers, right? And so I knew I had to target my audience. I knew I had to, really simplify my marketing efforts. And so if I were to write a marketing campaign to those mothers, because I was helping moms with time-saving strategies at that time, I would say, have you ever been frustrated? You don't have enough time in the day and you're tired of stepping over Cheerios, right? And I could be that specific because of who my target audience was. It helps in your marketing effort. And so if as a parenting coach, if you don't have any children, you probably are not my target market. Do you see how that works? And so you can specify and be real specific in your marketing. So that's why you need a niche to really help with your marketing efforts. Number 2, so that people can find you, right? What is the thing you do that people are saying they're at their computer? How do I what? What are they Googling for? What are they Googling for right now? How to get, beautiful skin, how to lose weight and look like you're 16 again at 56, right? What are your people Googling, right? And so you want to be found. The purpose of that is so that you can be found. That's why it pays to narrow your niche. Number three, listen, I need you to understand that in the market, number three, you want to be known as a specialist and not a generalist. You cannot be the jack of all trades as a specialist. You have to be known for the one thing, right? And so when you think of exercise, like, woo, I need to get back into the gym and get my summer body together. I'm a little behind schedule, honestly, for me, but that's a different subject. But if you're thinking about, I need to get my summer body together, who do you have in mind? Who's going to get you there? Who is that person? Because they're the one that does that thing that's going to help you get all the way together, right? Help you get snatched, right? Who is that person that helps you, that you think of, right? Or if you're looking for beautiful skin, or you want to start wearing makeup, and so who is that one person that is going to get you that beat look that you want, right? Who is that one person, right? And so you want to be known for that in the marketplace. You want to be known as a specialist and not a generalist, because I want to know that you spent time, effort, energy into that one thing. Number four, to know who you're solving the problem for. And so the purpose of having a niche is to know who you're solving the problem for. And so you should actually be able to reverse engineer. If this is your client, on the other end, what is their problem? So it should be wherever you are, on one end is you as the specialist, on the other end is the client that has the problem. And you should be able to draw a line from you to them, right? And so you know what problem you're solving. Number five, to simplify your products and services. To simplify your products and services. We're talking about the 5 reasons why you need a niche. Listen, a message for everybody is a message for nobody. A book for everybody is a book for nobody. Now let me park right here and give you the side note. Listen, if you are an author, so far I have written 14 books. 10 are published and out in the world, and 4 are already written and going to be published later this year. And so I tell, if you're going to be an author, you can have an amazing book title, but at the end of the day, your niche is going to find your book by your subtitle. So please make sure you have a subtitle. I cannot, express that enough. I remember speaking somewhere, and one of my clients, she just submitted her book to the publisher with no subtitle. After she heard me talk, she went and edited that bad boy and got that subtitle in, right? Because that subtitle is everything. That subtitle is a way to talk to your target market, right? Your title could be driven, help, goal. Your title of your book pretty much can be anything, but it's that subtitle that lets you know, oh, I need to get this book for Cindy, or I need to get this book for Jim. Oh, this is exactly what me and Katie were talking about the other day, right? That subtitle is everything in your book. So I just want to drop that real quick. So one way to find your target audience is to create an avatar to know who you're looking for. So we kind of briefly touched on that word avatar. Now, an avatar is a image, is kind of like an imaginary person. Now, let me slow down here, because not many people have heard of an avatar. Some have, but it's super, super important. Creating an avatar, some people call it your client avatar. So I am a relationship coach for married women building intimacy in their marriage. And so when I create my client avatar, I'm writing all the things that makes up my client right now. All the things that makes up my client right now. So if I were creating a client avatar, I would say she's married, right? She may or may not have kids. She's married, to a guy, because it's a husband and wife relationship in the way that I serve, right? And maybe in their life they're struggling with intimacy, and usually it's because of miscarriage or infidelity, infertility. Some of those things affect her building intimacy in her marriage, right? And so I know what my ideal client is going through, some of the things that they're struggling with. So when I hear someone say, oh, I'm a single parent. I have 5 kids and I'm a single parent and things like that. And, one day I want to date a guy and really meet Mr. Right. Well, right off the bat, she's not my client. She's not my client because, again, my client is already married, not dating, not getting ready to be married, not, single, living their best life and want to date sometime in the future. My client is already married, already living out marriage, right? And so when you know who your ideal client is, at the same time, you know who they're not, right? And so you want to get super focused on who it is that you serve so you can serve well and not try to serve everybody, because you want to be focused on the somebody, right? And so learning how to get started as a speaker and an author can be easiest in a community, in a group, or with a coach. And doing it alone is an option too, but it's a little bit longer, right? And so I want to share with you 7 questions to ask when narrowing your niche. Now, really, really pay attention here, because this is how you're going to know, who you serve. Listen, many of us are multi-passionate, and I'm multi-passionate, right? And so when you start off, you got to start off with the one thing, right? You can't start off stretched thin, right? You can't start off straight. You got to start off with the one. And then once that gets successful, then you're able to kind of branch out into more. But you don't start off serving doctors, lawyers, teachers, children's parents. It's too much, and you'll be pulling your hair out, right? So 7 questions to ask when narrowing your niche. That hair on my face flying. Okay, here we go. Number 1. First of all, what problem do you solve? And understand, if you're an author, your book should be solving a problem, right? And so as a speaker, what problem do I solve? Whatever product, service, book, all of them are solving problems. We are in the problem solving industry. It doesn't matter what you do, you're in the problem solving industry. So what problem do you solve, right? And so if you're a person, a health coach, and you're solving a problem for somebody, to shed those stubborn 50 pounds, right? So if you're solving a problem, you need to know, where are the people at with that problem, right? So really understand what the problem is. Where are the people with that problem? All right. Number 2, do you need to educate your audience? Some people, their service is education. Some people, their service is education. For instance, maybe you're a tax specialist and you're not filing the taxes for them, but you're equipping your client with all the knowledge so they can be fortified with everything they need to go to their tax specialist. Does that make sense? So what you provide is education. By the time they're done with your 6-week course, they're going to know everything to ask their tax preparer. They're going to know what receipts they need to have. They're going to know all the things after meeting with you. And all you're doing is providing them with the service of education, which is valuable, because if they don't know that information, it could cost them thousands of dollars, right? And so, do you need to educate your client? That's number 2. Now, number 3 is, does your audience, your ideal client, do they already need to have a level of expertise for you to serve them? So let me just pause right here, and I'm looking over to the chat. Let me know if this is making sense. If it's making sense, put make sense. Yup, got it. Drop something in the chat so I know I'm not losing you. This is making sense. All right, people, got it. Make sense. Yes. Okay. And people are still awake. Yes. All right. Making sense. Yes, God. Awesome. I just want to make sure that you are with me. Awesome. So, does your audience already have a level of expertise? And so, guess what? If you serve lawyers, well, for you, your audience already has a level of expertise because they are a lawyer already practicing law. Not thinking about going to law school, that wouldn't be your client. Not currently in law school, that wouldn't be your client. It's close, but it wouldn't be your client. Your client's level of expertise need to be currently practicing law, right? If they're not currently practicing law, they can keep you in mind for the future, but they are not your client right now. Does that make sense? And so, does your client, your audience, already need to have a level of expertise? And if so, it helps you to know, where are they at? They're probably not in college, right? Where are they? Probably in the business district, in the professional district, professional buildings, right? Because they're already practicing law. So that's just an example. Number 4. So we're talking about 7 questions to ask when narrowing your niche. Number 4, how do you deliver your solution? Think about this. How do you deliver your solution? If you have a web-based portal and that's how you deliver your solution, you got to click here and upload here and download that. That's great, but not if your audience is 70 years old and above, right? If your audience is senior citizen, then maybe that's not the best mode of execution for your solution, right? And so, how do you deliver your solution? If you deliver your solution, maybe you have a field, or you're a therapist, right? And you work with individuals and it's really emotional, really traumatic, right? Well, maybe in-person small group is going to be a better fit in how you deliver your solution than online and a little distant, right? Maybe because of the emotional trauma that your clients have endured, you might want to be in a close, safe space, right? Not online and cold, and they don't know if you're really paying attention or listening, right? And so think about how you're delivering your solution. Make sure the way that you deliver couples with the audience that you're serving. They go hand in hand, because if there's a disconnect, you'll wonder why when people are enrolling, they'll say, oh no, that ain't gonna work for me, right? Because of how you're delivering your solution. All right, number 5, how quickly can you deliver your solution? Now, are you able to deliver your solution in 14 days or less? Or maybe you have a solution that's 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe your solution is 8 to 10 months. How quickly can you deliver your solution? And it depends on what the solution is. If you're in a, course that maybe is, like I said, very traumatic, very vulnerable, you're not going to fly through 14 days in that kind of course, because people have to warm up to you. They have to get to know you. They have to trust you. And then they can share with you the next step. And so, depending on what type of service you provide, you might need more time for people. Right. And so think about that. How quickly can you deliver your solution? If people, if what you do is very complex, like engineering or high tech, if your things are very high tech, but you have a lot of people who are not techie savvy, you have to keep that in mind when delivering your solution, on how quickly you need to deliver your solution, right? All right, number 6. I know this is a lot. I know you're like, well, good God, I can't even keep up. But guess what? I got you. I'm going to be answering questions at the end. Look at, I flew my hair away. I'll be answering questions at the end. And remember, you can go to ispeakiwrite.com and grab a checklist. It's actually 3. It's a bundle checklist. So it's going to have some amazing information for you. And so number 6. Are there prerequisites to your solution? Are there prerequisites to your solution? One of the things that I do is, I help speakers, book speaking engagements, and I have 5 prerequisites that you must have in place before I help you book speaking engagements, right? But for me, I have those 5 things. Let me put one hand up. 5 things. I have those 5 things folded into my program, right? But what is that going to be a fit for you? Do you have prerequisites? And if there are prerequisites, do they need to have it in place before they come to you? Or if they come to you, if they don't have it in place, you will help them get it in place as a part of your program, right? What are those prerequisites? Do you have prerequisites for your program? And then this last one, the 7th one, we're talking about 7 questions to ask when narrowing your niche. Is the pain new? Now, let's think about this for a minute. Is the pain new? Now, if you are like a divorce coach and maybe you help, women or men who are divorced really embrace who they are now on their journey to find love again. Well, if the pain is new and they've been divorced for like 1 month, they're still your ideal client, but they're just at a different level. Are you still the coach for them? Or do you work with the person, as a divorce coach after you've been divorced 5 years and still haven't found love yet? Then you're the coach for them, right? So if the client is newly in that pain, whatever it is, are you the coach for them? And if so, then great. So you know how to make sure that you cater your marketing and you find where those newly in pain people are. But if you say, oh, no, I wouldn't, they need to have already, been out of that pain for a little bit before I help them, then you need to tailor your marketing accordingly, right? So, because if you keep getting people who got a divorce yesterday and they're calling you up, but those are not your clients, then you need to go back to how you're marketing, because you're calling people who are not your client. So hopefully that made sense. So now let me just give you an example of narrowing your niche. And so if someone says to me, I work with women, I say, oh, that's so nice. That's so nice, but it's so broad. It's so broad, but it's nice, but it's broad. So I say, okay, so you work with women, right? But I would challenge you to narrow that even more. Okay, so let's say I work with married women. Okay, that's narrow even more. Can we go smaller? Okay, I work with married women with kids. Okay, so now we've taken women and we went down 3 levels. I work with married women with kids. Okay, can we narrow that even more? I work with women who are married with kids who desire purpose on the other side of parenting. Okay. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? So I work with women who are married with kids who desire purpose on the other side of parenting and want to start their own business. So now we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels deep in our niche, right? So now it's clearer. Now it's more narrow. We went from women, now we have women who are married with kids who desire purpose on the other side of parenting that want to start a business. And so, what that allows me to do is market accordingly, right? I can say something like, are you at a point in your life? You have the marriage, you have the kids, but yet you still desire something more, right? And I can market something like that because I know who my audience is, right? As opposed to, are you a woman and want what's next in life? Well, that looks very different for that 19-year-old woman or that 99-year-old woman, right? We're talking 2 different next levels, right? It looks very different. And so it's super, super important to narrow your niche. So if you were to, so I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to tell me in 3 words or less. I'm going to say that again. 3 words or less. Who is your ideal client? Who's your ideal audience? Doesn't matter if you have a business or anything right now, whether you do or don't. Who is your ideal audience? Yes, Christians with mental illness. Okay, amazing. Okay, perfect. 3 words or less. Who is your ideal audience? And if you tell me women, I'm gonna ask you to go back and try again. Who is your ideal audience? Okay. Okay, one middle age homeless. Okay, that's good. That's specific. Managers in business and nonprofit. Good, good, good. Middle age achievers. Okay, middle age achievers. All right. Youth preparing for college. I love that. That's amazing. First semester, come on, first semester nursing students. That is amazing. I like that because you already know what they need, and you know why they are your client, right? So that's a great niche. That is a great niche. I'm just telling, there's that Felisa, that's a great niche. That's needed. I was a nurse for 10 years, so that's how I know. All right. Let's see, people who want to look stylish, lose weight, now want to look good. Okay, that's a whole lot of words, Simone. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's way more than 3 words, Simone. But yes, yes. Okay, Yasmin. Immigrant. Oh, I lost it. See, immigrant individuals who. Oh, I lost it. Immigrants who experience generational trauma. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, youth who are non-believers. Okay, awesome. So you guys got the idea. This is amazing, right? So if that person, who's that? Patricia. If Patricia were just to say youth, I'd be like, oh, well, geez. I mean, I got 6 youth in my house. Who do you like? I don't know who to recommend to you because it's too broad, right? But yes, youth who are non-believers. Awesome. So it's so important. Creative female entrepreneurs. Yes. Youth career readiness. Amazing. Amazing. So you got the idea. And The more specific you can get with your niche, the better. Okay, so for example, right now I have, I got a burgundy shirt on. I even got, let me see if you can see, I got burgundy earrings on. I got green glasses. Okay, so if you were to say, are you a woman with long black hair, a burgundy sweater on, and you have burgundy earrings? I want to share something with you. I'm going to be like, oh my, I feel like they're talking right to me. Oh my God, it's like they're talking to me. Have you ever said that? It's like they're talking to me, because they are, right? That's how specific you want to call your audience. Like they feel like, wow, she's talking to me. He's talking to me, right? Amazing, amazing. Okay, so let's wrap up with 5 ways to captivate your audience through speaking and writing. 5 ways to captivate your audience through speaking and writing. And in the gift that you'll see, the free gift that you're going to get, I actually give you 10 ways. So these are just 5 of those ways. So number 1, your words and body language should be telling the story. Your words and body language should be telling the story. So I consider myself a pretty animated person. I barely just kind of sit with my hands folded. I'm usually extra, like my kids always say. What does mama do? The most. That's what they say. Wait, and they chant it all together. They be like, hey, what does mama do? And all 6 of them in unison say the most. You know what? It is what it is. It is what it is, right? And so, so your body language should be telling the story, right? If you are, your words and your body language. If you're sad, you shouldn't be like, oh my God, that is horrible. Oh my God. You shouldn't be, your voice inflection should match the body language and the scenario at hand. Not like, oh my, really? Oh my God, that's sad. It don't even match, right? It doesn't even match. And so your body language, word, they should all be synced. This is how you captivate your audience through speaking and writing. Number 2, parallel your stories with day-to-day emotions. So if you're sharing a story, parallel those emotions with day-to-day things that people will understand. And so if you're describing, I was so overwhelmed. I mean, I was overwhelmed, like I had, a direct deposit due and it was 5 days late. Do you know what that feels? That overwhelmed. You're like, what? Like you're describing your story with things that people will understand. That's just that was a cheesy example, but it's an example because when your direct deposit is 5 days late, you overwhelmed. You a little overwhelmed, right? All right, number 3, use frameworks to tell your story, especially if your story is traumatic or emotional. Use frameworks to tell your story. I help speakers tell their story, and I actually have a 5-part framework in telling your story. But one of the things that's really, really important is if you're telling a story, especially if it's traumatic, especially if it's emotional, you want to tell people the story. You start off a story, they call it a peak. You tell people a story, oh my God, life was great. I was on top and I was living my best life. But then, right? We all got a but then. That's the valley of the story, right? The peak is that high point in your life. But then is that valley. But then my husband left me and had 2 kids on the side. but then I lost my job, right? Whatever that but then is, you got to make sure you don't leave your audience there, right? So you're coming up in the peak, how life is great, but then, and then you're going down in the valley, but your solution is how you bring them back out of the valley. And so you don't want to leave people in a low emotional state when you're telling your story, because they'll have a hard time coming out and listening to the rest of what you're saying, because you kept them in such traumatic low state of your story. And so you want to start high, tell them about but then, but bring them right back out, right? So you can end your story on a high note and not on a traumatic note. So, but that comes with some of the framework that, I outlined. So use frameworks when telling your story. Number 4, your story should be easy to follow. Easy to follow. You know your story is easy to follow when other people can tell your story. You don't know how many times I've had somebody say, "Oh my God, wait, you're Leona, right? Somebody was telling me about you because you're the one that moved from Seattle, right, to Michigan. Yeah, and you have 6 kids." They was telling, right? Because my story was easy enough that somebody else was telling somebody else my story, and they had it all, right? I remember booking speaking engagements and acquiring the speaking engagement that I booked, with this, phenomenal strategy that I use. And I got a speaking engagement in Canada, and she booked me for 2 of her events. And one of the things that this event coordinator does is, she wants to get to know you. And so, she schedules a Zoom to learn more about you. And so by the time she scheduled the Zoom with me, she knew my whole life. I'm telling you, she knew everything. So she was like, "Oh my God, Leon, I'm so excited that I've read all about you and I've heard some amazing things about you. So tell me, you was a foster parent for 20 years? Tell me, how was that? And then so you and your husband, your high school sweetheart," like she knew everything. I was like, "Boy, this is kind of scary. I got that much stuff out in the universe," right? But she knew everything, right? Because of the storytelling. I was able to tell my story, whether I'm doing it in video on my website, whether you're watching a previous, YouTube video, what have you, but she knew my whole story, right? And the story was easy to follow. And so number 5, create checkpoints in your story. Very similar to what I did with you all tonight. Let me check where you are. Where are you at? Are you here? Are you with me, right? Create checkpoints in your story so that people are following you. And so I hope I have shared some valuable information.